But if I could share with you a story that I think encompasses a lot of the challenges we might have with being a phenomenon with a body and then being one with everything else. At some point, I'm in a very good friend's cottage somewhere in England. And I've been there for 12 days on my own, and I've been living primarily on fruits. I might have been fasting, but I think I lived on fruits. And then one morning I wake up and I get a bit scared because my sense is that there is a somebody in the room apart from me. And I'm very far out. I'm in a forest. And then I look around and I can't see anybody, but I can sense a being in the room. And I'm sure there is a being. And then I sense that this being is a being of love. And I remember myself thinking, this is the love I felt on planet Earth times 1 trillion. And then it is as if it's fluid. And then it starts entering my backbone. And it fills out all my skeleton. And when it's filled out all the cells of my skeleton, it starts flowing into the rest of my tissue. And then when it's filled out all my physical entity, I hear this voice, at least I hear it as a voice, saying, "Are you ready, Helen?" And I'm a bit, fresh, shall I say? Yeah, I'm ready. And then what happens is that this fluid love breaks through my skin all over my body at the same time and expands and expands and expands. And it keeps on expanding. There's no time and there's no space. And then at some point, it's expanded. I don't know for how long I've been lying there. And at some point, I hear the same voice saying, "Now you're God, Helen." And I'm very down to earth. And I've been a Girl Scout where we talked a lot about God. So I know that I'm not like God in a Christian sense. So I'm arguing with this voice saying, "I'm so not God." "Well, you are God." And then, "No way I'm God." And say, "Can we agree on that I created you?" "Yes." "Can we agree on that you are part of me?" "Yes." "Can we agree on that the sense you have now is that you are one with me?" "Yes." "Can we then agree on that you are me?" "Yes." "Okay, if we call me God, can we then agree on that you are God?" "Yes." And then what happened is, I saw an image, like being in a cinema, about the rest of my life. And at this very moment, or when I went to this cottage, I had agreed with myself that I might retire very early and just grow carrots in a garden or something. But then I saw this image that I was going to work a lot with other people and in various countries, etc. And then I went into the garden, and there something very peculiar happened. I was sitting, it was the first day with no rain that in all those 12 days, so it was actually one of my first day outside. And I was sitting in a chair and I started writing. And suddenly I've got butterflies all over my arms. And in the beginning I'm thinking that that I must be mistaken. But then suddenly there are so many butterflies. And then I look up. Then I see that it's a bit like these Disney movies I've seen that animals gather. So there are birds in the trees, and the squirrels, it's as if they have dropped down from the trees, and the fox that always has its way of walking like 3 meters from the windows, it is coming again, and it sits down. And I'm just thinking, this might be me hallucinating, or it might be real. And then we're just sitting there, and we sit there, I don't know for how long, and then they disappear, and I walk in, and then I have this, it's a song by a Swedish songwriter about how the wind is my sister and the earth is my brother, and so these are all moments of oneness, and it lasted for quite a while. And I think that's maybe one of these moments one wishes that would last forever. But in a way it lasted forever, because that oneness, that feeling of oneness never left. And I do think that it's like this pulsation. Sometimes even I think the most enlightened people feel that they are nothing. But the thing is, we sometimes mistake the feeling of oneness by lack of self-worth. Whereas I tend to believe that it's a sense of emptiness accompanying the sense of oneness. And there's a huge difference in emptiness, nothingness, and being worthless. And I think we mistake sometimes these feelings and sensations because we are brought up in the paradigm we are, that higher, faster, more, better. Maybe it's perfect as it is, and it just unfolds naturally, organically along the way, all the time being perfect as it is. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I think we've all had that experience, one way or the other. It's just sometimes a bit scary. Because what happens at the moment when I get the question, are you ready? We can say yes or no. And we were born ready. That's the thing. We were born ready. It's just that in our paradigm, we don't have rituals reminding us, taking the next step to be, I don't know whether one can be more ready than ready, but at least allowing the sense of readiness to be enlarged and enlarged and enlarged till at some point we are one. But those rituals we don't have. So in that sense, no wonder that some of us get a bit scared. And also, very importantly, I think, our nervous system has to organically, naturally, neurally be ready to process still more of oneness, of interconnectedness. Which is also why when it's provoked, it can bring up anxiety and fear, because the nervous system isn't fully matured to actually absorb the whole experience. Which is why I think we have this saying, I don't know whether you have that in English, but that it's a very good idea to be able to crawl before, we have to crawl before we can walk. You probably don't say that, but we have to make certain kinds of movements before we can do other kinds of movements. So we have to, as babies, do all these baby motoric movements before we can walk and be in balance. And same thing in life, being two-legged human beings.
Remember me, San Francesco, when you were talking about, you know, San Francesco?
Francesco.
San Francesco.
What is that?
It was a saint.
It was the same, yeah?
Yeah, but it was
Very
a saint.
famous in Assisi.
It was famous in Assisi.
Him!
Because he was talking to
That is
animals.
true! Somebody told me that when I
He was
shared
talking-
this
I mean, it was-
experience.
yeah.
He said, oh, Francesco of Assisi had a similar experience.
Yeah.
And then I said, did he write something about it, or can one read about it? No, because, hello. Ciao.